It's been 2 days since I released a video about Pokemon TCG Live and it getting a bit worse. 2 days. And then they dropped this bombshell. Today we want to share an important Pokemon trading card game online update. Pokemon TCG Crown Zenith is the final expansion released in PTCGO. While PTCGO will remain active, TCG products launched after the 1st of March 2023 won't be supported. So if you go over to the link, it reads as follows. Card set development ending for the Pokemon trading card game online. To devote resources to the Pokemon trading card game live, card set development for Pokemon TCG Online will end on March 1st. With the upcoming sunsetting of Pokemon trading card game online, no further card set development will be supported in the game as of the 1st of March. Pokemon TCG Crown Zenith will be the final expansion to be incorporated into the Pokemon TCG Online in order to devote all the resources to Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, which is now available in beta to players around the world on iOS, Android devices, yada yada yada. The in-game versus ladder reward tracks will continue to update leading up to an eventual game sunset, but no further updates will come to the Pokemon TCG Online outside of potential bug fixes. Also, the 2023 standard format rotation and Pokemon tool card errata will not be applied to Pokemon TCG Online. That just adds some little FAQ for more details, which does actually provide some extra information. And this was updated today. The Pokemon TCG Online app will be removed from the App Store, Google Play, and Pokemon.com prior to the official global launch of Pokemon TCG Live. Now, additional information, including the exact timing, will be shared soon via the Pokemon support website. So we've not received any update yet on the actual sunset. So they're saying it here, look, when will the Pokemon TCG Online be sunsetted? The Pokemon TCG Online app will be removed from App Stores, yada, 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 and game servers will be shut down prior to the official worldwide launch of Pokemon TCG Live. While the Pokemon TCG Online will remain active during the Pokemon TCG Live beta, which is now available globally, you want to tell me one more time? Are you sure it's available globally? I'm sure you told me about 3 times already. This update will help ensure that more development resources are dedicated to making Pokemon TCG Live the best experience possible for players. And then it provides basically the launching dates and release dates of a lot of the stuff coming up for the Pokemon TCG. And we've already had most of these, of course, and we're now the only next thing that's really going to be updated onto PTCGO will be these 3 things, which is Crown Zenith Special Collection, Pikachu VMAX, Lucario V-Star Special Collection, and Cleaver V-Star Special Collection. This is just general FAQs now, but I just wanted to go into one of the more important things that was mentioned here was that it is specifying that they are going to be committing more resources to development as a result of this change. And then it begs the question, right? Was the big thing holding PTCGL back in regards to the time frame, was it the fact that they still needed to commit resources, which I'm assuming is just money, to PTCGO? With that said, are they going to be able to just sit there and go, right, okay, we now have a lot more revenue dedicated to this part of the business of the Pokemon company, right? That we can now fully commit to Pokemon TCG Live, which would, I assume, either go towards servers, would go towards hiring potential staff. A lot of people are suggesting that they may hire Dire Wolf Studios themselves. So this is the developers for PTCGO. I don't know if they would do that. I don't know if that makes any sense. It makes sense, obviously, but I just don't feel like that's a move they're going to make. If they do, I mean, that's not bad, right? Because they're the only studio that actually knows how to do this, considering they're the only ones that have done it. So I don't know, man. I have little faith right now because a lot of what I expect them to do and what a lot of people think is the next step often isn't. So it's hard to tell. Although there's speculation about what they might be doing with Direwolf, I don't know. I feel like they may just, try and hire some more staff themselves in-house to develop it. It'd be interesting to see though, but that's a very important detail. That aside, let's get into some of the reactions. I'll just say some of the reactions here on my likes just so I can understand what the idea is, what people are thinking. So Luke here from Sayoko TCG, I hope I pronounced it correctly. So they obviously announced this. This is what is called an awful business move. If people do not like your new product, then it means you should not discontinue the old one until a new product can do far better. Every single content creator and player hates live. It's hard supporting this company sometimes. I hear it, bro. I feel you, brother. I feel you, man. Gosh, right. As we get the overall consensus, I'll kind of add my thoughts in there. Andrew Mahone posting this legendary meme. This kind of sums it all up, really, doesn't it? It's kind of like, yeah. We're gonna be missing you. Late night. they provided some interesting information here. So the late night events, which is the biggest event organizer in Limitless, if I'm correct right now, has suddenly announced that we discussed internally and we are moving the late night events to Pokemon TCG Live starting February 1st, which is, as of recording this, tomorrow, 1 month before PTCGL. And then went on to say that we understand that this is a sudden change, but we believe it makes sense to use PTCG Live as our medium for events in a world where PTCGO is forced to sunset itself. You don't necessarily have to migrate, but you will need Pokemon TCG Live going forward. Here we go. So this is another update they provided. So a lot of the reaction here was kind of mixed, and some interesting points were raised regarding the fact that, you know, this would force a lot of people effectively to migrate. People playing PTCGO who play Limitless events, who don't have PTCG Live, don't have anything in PTCG Live, they're gonna have to migrate. So them saying you don't necessarily have to migrate, but you will need Pokemon TCG Live, doesn't make sense, right? I understand. You can go onto PTCG Live, log in with the same PTCGO account, and not have to migrate. But you need the cards. So no one's going to go ahead and spending all that kind of money on codes to go and get the cards specifically for this. They would just migrate if it's that serious. So it kind of is counterintuitive, that decision. It's like, okay, we're going to force everyone to migrate earlier than Pokemon TCG themselves, just to try and get ahead of the curve. It seems like a bit of a silly move, in my humble opinion. And these points were raised up. Another point here raised by Trust Your Pilot. Very important, you have to restart Pokemon TCG Live every time you add someone to your friends list, otherwise they won't show up, which is wild. Another note about the team challenge, which I don't know much about, but I'm assuming that's PTCGO based. Riley Holbert, a figure in the community, says it seems odd to make an announcement effective tomorrow for a transition that itself was announced an hour ago. I consider re-reviewing this. Yeah, it seems very rash, very, very rash. What did they say here? I actually have just seen this. This is all like coming out right now, basically. So I'm kind of just going with the flow here. We had read through many of the valid points from the community. We are having another meeting with our late night events team, and we'll have an answer within the next few hours. Thanks for the feedback. We hope to make the best decision. Yeah, I think personally on my part here that this is a bit too soon. It's a bit too rash. There's still another month left of playing PTCGO. The majority of people are going to still be playing PTCGO until Scarlet and Violet drops. I expect the mass migration to be on the set drop of Scarlet and Violet. The moment that's out on PTCG Live is when everyone is going to jump to it, I think. So that's the new set, that's the new cards. That's when all the content creators like myself will probably be jumping to it, obviously to make new content because you can't make it on PTCGO anymore. So that's where I expect the big migration to occur. So this is like a month early. It's like, hold on. No, slow it down. That's kind of my thoughts there, and I think a lot of people feel the same. Other people, there are some people in here going like, I look forward to it. Also look forward to entering, but a lot of it is kind of like, yeah, too soon. This is a bit of a rash decision, and I kind of agree. That aside, let's take a look at other pieces of information here. TC Evolutions says, well, I hope this means PTCGL will be fixed and bug-free in 2 months. Seriously praying. The 2 games I tried live, the game crashed upon capture energy search, and the other game live has no idea what Raihan does. I like PTCGO. Why can't resources be devoted to it to make it better? Well, that's the quote that they're saying they're going to do. They've said things before. And they have kind of stayed true to them, saying that they'll improve the board and take note. And they have done that, but it doesn't mean the outcome and the execution is going to be what we hope, right? I remember them saying like they're taking notes and they're going to improve on the board state. They're going to improve on these things, make the game faster. And the updates they've been providing have been hit and miss. So just because they're saying they're going to devote more resources to it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be better. It depends what comes with that, right? It comes from that. So I'm in the same boat where I'm hoping that devotion is going to dramatically improve it, but there's time frames, there's what exactly is going to happen. It's all up in the air right now. And I think that's why a lot of the reactions are quite negative. So like, okay, we're losing the one thing we know for sure is stable. And then what's coming in is literally pure chaos. Like the unknown is coming up now. Talonite X, no, I'd hope this day would never come. Yeah. Rahul Reddy, a very prevalent player in the TCG community. How are we doing this while life is barely functioning? Good night, sweet prince. Yeah. JW saying rip to the GOAT. Stefan Ivanov, a big player from Europe, was saying, like many, I'm not confident at all that the numerous bugs on TCG Live will be fixed in 2 months, which means that we won't have a good way to playtest the post-rotation format, which could have a huge impact on EOIC results. I definitely see that coming, man, because a lot of people use PTCGO to test, obviously. I think it will have an impact. Obviously, I'm not going to question Stefan's perspective on this because he's, very, very well versed in his community, far more than me. I'm a content creator in PTCGO. He's a Pokemon TCG competitive player, completely different thing. But I'm sure if there, people really needed to test, then of course they would go to, TCG1, they would do, there's Limitless has a tabletop way of playing. But I'm assuming he's referring to those who don't have testing groups and just kind of use PTCGO as their way to test. So may that be through Limitless tournaments or anything down that line. So yeah, I do agree with him ultimately. This one's from Gaia Storm. I have to translate this because I forgot what he said. We don't even know where to start. Pointing out this babble. Oh, the reviews. Oh, no. Was that 500K? I'm assuming that's downloads on Google Play and a 3-star review, 2.5 star. Like, we just got to drop this underneath the tweet and be like, hey, don't forget it. You got Gazer Beam, good old Gazer, broke down in front of the kindergartens at work when I saw this. They said, Mr. Reed, why are you crying? I said, well, Jimothy, I found out a close friend doesn't have much time left. Very sad, also very deep. Omnipoke Joe, PTCG Live needs to jog on. Do one, mate. That's it, mate. Calvin Connor, as someone that fell back in love with the game through online play and PTCGO, this is extremely sad news. And then we have Alex Shemang, again talking about Team Challenge. Team Challenge players will be forced to stay on PTCGO while the rest of the world likely converts to live. Is going to be awful. Again, I don't know much about Team Challenge. I just wanted to note that that's being addressed here, so I thought I'd have to include that. Then we got Riley Holbert again with his just general opinion. I knew it would come eventually. I just hoped eventually meant very far in the future, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. So here's Trust Your Pilot kind of referring to the Direwolf thing. So PTCGO isn't receiving any more updates in order to devote all resources to Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. But Direwolf is developing PTCGO while the Pokemon Company is making PTCGL. How many resources was PTCGO taking up? That's the big question, right? How much was PTCGO actually getting in the way of PTCGL? Was it getting in the way? Are they just saying it to save face? It's hard to tell, but most likely it was just, yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And then I like this one by Celio's Network. Good old Celio. It's time to go. Was I a good client? No, but I've told you are better than life. Oh, gosh. Oh, no. It's a shambles, man. It's a shambles. So my thoughts, right. With all this in mind, it's kind of a sad thing. I'm hopeful that their note to devote more resources to Pokemon TCG Live will make it better. At this point, I think people care more now about the fact of whether or not it's playable than its looks, than its feel. I think people are more worried about the fact that when they play a Raihan, their game's going to crash. Rather than, oh, I don't like the way the board looks. The one thing I hope is they just make the game work. If it works, I will be fine with it personally. Don't get me wrong. I will miss PTCGO and I will always see PTCGO as better. But we have to move forward with the times, right? You can't sit here and dwell on the past. It is what it is. It's what I say in my videos all the time. It is what it is. The only thing I think, which is the big deal, is just to make it work, okay? Just make it work. That is what's going to make people leave, okay? It's there are going to be there's definitely a divide and people will leave over the fact that they don't like the UI changes. But ultimately, if people are paying PTCGO because they love playing the Pokemon card game, I don't see why they would leave PTCG Live over something as simple as visual changes, unless it actually causes like headaches and stuff, which I have seen before, so that makes some sense. A lot more people, and I'm assuming the majority of the criticism is on the basis of the fact that it doesn't work. That's the big problem for me, and that's the big problem I assume for a lot of other people. So if they just make it work, then maybe something is salvageable, and maybe we can keep going, and see how this goes in the future. But it is scary. It's very scary, especially for me and other content creators. I don't know what my future is on the channel right now. I don't know if the launch is going to be terrible, people stop watching, and I have to quit. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Like, it's going to be very hard to tell. And I'm sure a lot of other content creators are very, very afraid. If you want to see my prediction, I would suggest that maybe what would happen is there's going to be a massive dip come the forced migration. So that's during the sunset era, or it's weird, right? Because I don't expect many people to be playing PTCGO post Scarlet and Violet, because as I said, there's going to be no more updates on that game. I'm assuming they're going to leave PTCGO available until they're satisfied enough with PTCG Live, and that means it works correctly. So PTCGO might be around for a while, mate. You just can't play anything else on it. You just play old decks. My thought process is, come the Scarlet and Violet drop, there will be that initial hype behind the drop, and people will watch PTCG Live videos on it, I think, but I expect a big dip ultimately. and then it to return to normal. And that's kind of my problem though. I don't want it to return to normal. I don't think there should be this much commotion and this much effort put into something that would just make it go back to normal. Why do I think it'll go back to normal? Because I think most of the people who watch the content like seeing the decks. They like seeing games. They like playing the game. And I think that trumps the client itself. For me, for example, if PTCG Live didn't exist, I would still play the game. I'd play it on, I don't know, TCG 1 or something. I'd still play it. It just wouldn't be optimal. So I think ultimately further on down the line, people's resolve won't last that long. And then they'll end up coming back and being like, okay, yeah, do you know what? It sucks, but it's the only way I can experience this game, which I love. So that's a take though. I could be well wrong. I could be well off. And that's a hopeful take because I only see that to be the best possible outcome is it dips and then just returns back to normal. That's the only best possible outcome I can think of. I don't think it's going to be better than TCGO. It's those few words. Devote all resources to development. That's it. I'm hanging on by a thread, but it's a sad day nonetheless. And it is the beginning of the end.